We're live.
Madam Chair, we are live.
Okay, I'll call the
I'll read
violation.
the introduction if you'd like.
That would be
Pursuant to
great.
Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into a law on March 29th, 2023. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public are permitted. The meeting will be live streamed, but will have no option for public participation. To view or listen, go to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube or click on the link that's posted on the agenda. The meeting is yours, Madam Chair.
Okay, it's past the hour of 4 p.m. I'll call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from the March 31st, 2023 meeting. Do you have a motion?
Make a
Make a
motion.
motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion made and seconded. Yeah. Dan?
Yes.
Keith?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
John said aye. Mitch?
Yes.
Say aye too? Okay, and aye. Okay, so you have approval of the minutes. The review of the OPM reference checks. Scott, do you want to do this part?
I'd be happy to. I believe our town administrator is connecting as we speak, so if you want to wait a minute till he gets on.
Okay.
Bob, you're on mute.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Here he is.
Yes, we can, Bob.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason, I had my PC worked on today, the town PC, and it's not letting me log in all of a sudden, so I'm using my phone.
We just went through the opening and the meeting acceptance. I'm going to go through quickly the memorandum that I prepared for the reference checks. The committee asked that staff perform reference checks, both in a quantitative and quality-based questioning, and we did so with both CHA companies and Collier project leaders. We tried to select comparable project references. One of the committee members indicated we'd like to get fire station projects or public safety related and drive ourselves away from a little bit of the schools. So I'll go through the CHA responses first. Again, the memorandum as well as the matrices are included in the meeting packet. So CHA provided 4 references. There were 3 fire stations and 1 police. Contacted all of them. 2 of them responded. The other 2 I contacted multiple times and did not respond. In general, both references for CHA were positive in all aspects. They did highlight a specific positive component of them in their organizational skills and their tracking of paperwork. One concern they expressed was the director that was identified on the project was not as available as maybe they would have liked. The one interesting thing about the CHA was that of the 4 projects, 2 of them were done by another company that they had acquired, and I may butcher the name, Datelis. So when I called out to check those references and said I was checking references for CHA, a couple of the respondents had no idea who I was talking about because it was Datelis. It was the same staff. It was the staff that are currently employed by CHA. Only one of them had the proposed project manager, Alyssa, as part of the project team. So again, they had positive responses. The one negative that was identified was the lack of availability of the director. And what I felt was a little interesting was in their proposal, it wasn't crystal clear that a bunch of their project references were under a different company's name, Datalis. They sort of presented them all. If you look at the cover letter, there is a statement in the cover letter of the proposal that says, you know, we absorbed Datalis in whatever it was, I think it was 2019 or something like that. But thereafter, there was no real reference to it. The Colliers references were checked. They provided, again, 4 references. 3 of them, well, 2 of them were fire stations. There was 1 public safety facility and then an emergency center. 3 of them were responded. 1 of them did not. The responses were all positive. There was not a lot of negative with any of them. The only negative that was provided was actually kind of like they were just trying to think of something. And it was the location of their office. It was kind of far away. They did, a couple of their projects did have Tony DeLuzio on the project, who was not identified on our project team. One of them had Phil Palumbo. Phil Palumbo was identified as the project director. The project that he was worked on in the references was Hadley Fire Station. And he was actually the project manager of the project. So it was a fire station project. He was the project manager, the primary point of contact. And he is our proposed project director. So, you know, to kind of summarize, we have, as we knew going in, we have 2 qualified firms. They're quality firms. They both have the experience necessary. They got good references. You know, the project teams are a little bit different, and I indicated about the prior experience with CHA having been a lot of it under a different company's name. So that's the summary. The memorandum has pretty much mimics what I just described.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Some discussion, if I may.
Got questions first, and then we'll do discussion. Okay, discussion.
Oh, I did a little additional research as well. I spoke to the chief from Maynard, and they had CHA, and that's why and they just finished the station. He said things went well, same type of stuff that everyone else said. But then they did have the same minor concern of getting a hold of board. I also, based on Tom's concerns about what Rico had told him, I did some research on that end, and it turns out that it wasn't Colliers, it was Wires that was in charge of it. At the time, one of Collier's employees.
Chief,
Tony.
Chief, you're breaking up a bit on the audio.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I said I spoke with Bob Federico, referenced the Tom's concerns with Millbury, and did a little research, and it turns out that Colliers was not the OPM. It was a company called Wires, but one of Collier's employees was the project manager for that, who now works for Colliers. So that may have been the confusion.
Any other discussion? Hearing no more discussion, are we ready to take a vote?
Madam Chair, sorry, a
John?
little slow on the trigger. I apologize. Just some numbers from their proposals. CHA cited 13 projects, fire stations and public safety buildings, as did Colliers. So they both cited an equivalent number of projects.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Maybe
Okay.
before entertaining a motion, we could just go around and state our preferences and see as a consensus which way we're leaning.
Fine, let's start with Chief.
Always gets to go first. Again, I think both corporations, both companies are good. Both have a lot of strong references. My opinion, and I thought both presentations were very solid. But going through, I found the Colliers submittal, their original submittal, easier to follow, a little bit more well organized at the time. Not that CHA was bad, it just wasn't, as good. I put it that way. And I spoke with Chief Stowers. He said CHA was great to work with, except for the small communication issue. Those things in mind, I think would both be fine, but I am still leaning towards Colliers as being my preferred.
Tom?
Well, I agree with the chief that they're both equally qualified. I thought Collier's presentation was stronger, but my concern is the continuity of the design team from initial conception through construction, closeout. And I thought that CHA and their close proximity to our project would be stronger in those regards. So I'm leaning towards CHA.
John?
Found the level of detail that Colliers presented was more than CHA. I concur with our colleagues here that both of them are qualified organizations. But Colliers quantified that they've done more lead projects in the last few years. They quantified the number of hours per week that their proposed team would be allocated to our project. So they were very specific in terms of that, whereas CHA did not quantify that, aside from Alyssa, their project manager. So that struck me in terms of just the level of detail.
Mitch?
I think they could both do the job. I'm happy with either choice. I agree with Tom that I think CHA is a little bit stronger. I really liked their project manager. I really like that the projects that they focus on are more similar to what we're looking to do here. The project team did our Lincoln Street School for the Colliers team, did Lincoln Street School. That's an entirely different project. I know they originally had a different project manager on that had more fire station experience. Obviously that person got reallocated for whatever reason. I do agree that Colliers printed materials were better, but based on the in-person. So I thought going into it, I probably had a preference for Colliers at that point, but based on the interview, I have a slight preference for CHA.
Dan?
Well, as I mentioned during the last meeting, my initial thought was Colliers, just based on the Lincoln Street School project, based on very few change orders and being done on time, under budget, which as a taxpayer and as an end user, I found that to be a good thing. Again, either company would be, I would feel comfortable. Thank you.
But
You're awesome.
Thank you, Don. So very similar as everybody has stated here. The presentation in the proposal from Colliers was very easy to follow. When on my consulting side, I tried to understand what my prospective clients wanted and to try to make their jobs easier. And when I have a very clear way to rank me on the comparative evaluation criteria, that's a written way to communicate with my prospective client when I was a consultant. And I liked that. It felt like they knew what we were looking for. CHA presented a more fire station related team. But I believe the Colliers team has more experience. The CHA team was a little green, and that was evident. I mean, the director was not, obviously. He's well versed in everything, but his involvement is going to be relatively light unless things go south. I'd rather have a very experienced project manager to work with than one that's half of the rungs, so to speak. So I would lean toward Colliers.
okay, Sean? Not in the air.
So Sean is traveling right now. He might be in an airplane on vacation with his children. I'm not sure how much fun it will be commenting on our.
That's kind of why we wanted to hear from him. I wanted to see him talking from an airplane. That would be cool.
Okay. And Mr. Reed, do you have any anything you'd like to add?
I don't, Scott had given me the references, checks, you know, I know Adam Gaudette's a tough marker. I'm willing, I mean, I'm coming in new to this. I'm perfectly willing to go along whatever the will of the vote of the committee is.
Okay, and I agree with that, what everybody else has said, as far as either one would probably do a great job.
To make it.
But I am feeling Colliers has a track record with Northborough, so I'm just feeling that a little bit more. Knowing that they've handled Northborough before and done well for us. So I'm leaning toward Colliers.
If I could speak to Tom's concern about the integrity of the team, and I think that's a valid concern. I don't disregard that. Scott, I don't remember. I know they said they don't have anyone in place right now, but they indicate how soon they would have someone in place, like go through the whole architectural, you know, picking an architect, design and all that. At what point in time did they indicate that they would have someone in place?
They did indicate that they would be allocating specific staff during the design phase, below the project manager to follow that phase through. How that person is involved in the construction phase, I'm not sure. Generally, a clerk on the site, the person with the dirty boots is not the one reviewing the design. But continuity that the design entity at the clerk's level continues through the project is critical. And that's the kind of thing when I was on the other side of the table that it was important for me to hear. That's what the owner wants, and to commit to that is part of the negotiation, the communication. Negotiation is not just money. Negotiation is also what our needs are for staff. And, you know, in John's response, I want more director time. Well, you pay for it, but you negotiate it. And that's part of that dialogue that happens after you pick the firm. We're not just picking the name.
All right, are we ready for a vote?
By my count, I think there are more in favor of Colliers than the other. So with that, I'll make a motion that we name Colliers as our OPM.
Okay, Chief Parenti?
I just have a question. I don't know.
Oh.
I think we have to word the motion specifically. And Scott and I had talked. I think I have some wording. Is that okay if I make the motion?
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Sure. I would say you go ahead and say what it should be, and I'll just say so moved.
Perfect. I move the Fire Station Building Committee recommend that the town administrator award the owner's project contract, the new fire station to Collier's project leaders, pending a successful contract negotiation.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Okay, so second by Dan. Okay, Chief,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Mitch,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
And Scott, you're not a voting member, right? Or are you?
No, he's just eye candy.
Yeah, okay. And I vote aye. So with that, it's a unanimous vote. And so Scott, you start the contract negotiation? No, the town administrator starts it.
I believe Mr. Reed will.
Reed?
Right.
I'll be happy to assist Mr. Reed as we go through it.
Great, thanks, Scott.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, next item we have is the future meeting date of June 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And it's suggested it be in person. That works for me. Is everybody okay with it?
Madam Chair,
I think
repeat
that was
the
what-
date and time, please.
It's June 20th, which is a Tuesday evening at 6 p.m.
I believe that was one of the dates we worked out last time. That didn't work
Right.
for everybody.
Okay?
Yeah, it was a long process to get that date established.
Okay. All right. So that's set, and we will do it in person at the town hall. Any other business that may legally come before the committee? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Second.
Didn't think anybody wanted to adjourn. Okay.
Motion
Second,
by Johnson.
I would have if I could
did
have.
you second, Tom? Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call again, Chief,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Mitch,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Dan.
Aye.
Aye, and I. So most, meeting is adjourned. See you all in the